markets don't behave that way. There is a very strong vested interest by the West and the Western banks to suppress the price of gold and silver. Look, I mean, just on a very basic level, gold and silver signal frailty of the system. So all of the assets or investments that a lot of these commercial banks have, they don't want to see gold and silver take off because it.
Get ready to have your beliefs shattered as Andy Schectman uncovers the unsettling truth behind commercial banks' stranglehold on these essential indicators of our economic health. Forget what you thought you knew about gold and silver markets. Join the revelation and brace yourself for a paradigm-shifting journey into the hidden forces shaping our financial future. Make sure you watch the whole video without skipping or leaving.
I mean, if they announce that we're starting to buy a whole bunch of gold again, it's almost weird that they don't. But you have to ask yourself, where did Gaddafi's gold go? Where did Saddam Hussein's go? How about the 12 billion in gold the Ukraine sold to fund the war? Where did that go? You have to wonder, are we getting our gold in less than transparent manner? But I think it would signal to the world it's pretty much every man for himself. Sort of thing. And the reason the West haven't been accumulating gold is because gold is the antithesis of the system. And it shows the inherent weakness and fragility of the Western system. And that's why they've suppressed it forever. And it wasn't just, the U.S. central bank. You had the Swiss National Bank and the Gordon Brown of the UK, who sold the majority of England's gold at $250 an ounce. You have all of the Western banks, Portugal, France, all of them were involved in this to make the Western system and the bond market seem stronger than they were. When you maintain an environment of suppressed interest rates, and that's really what they have done to create a perception, an illusion of wealth and prosperity by suppressing interest rates, you make your home and your 401k and all of these things that make you feel wealthy, you give them much higher value. And I think when you realize that the term Gibson's paradox is the inverse relationship between real interest rates and the price of gold, if you're going to suppress interest rates to maintain this illusion, you have to kill the canary. And that's gold and silver. And this is a game where now the East is beating the West using the suppression against us. And in other words, what the West didn't count on is that back when they started doing this, a lot of these countries in and of themselves didn't have the ability to stand up to the West. But now you're finding safety in numbers, and all of these countries are standing for delivery. And they're just accumulating as much as they can. And now you're beginning to see something happen that I think is very interesting, and that is you have China slowly turning up the heat. You got silver price $2 an ounce higher in Shanghai than you do it off the London Metals Exchange or the COMEX. You have gold throughout 2023 was as high as $150 an ounce higher, anywhere from 80 to 150 higher, slowly arbitraging all the metal over. They do things methodically, slowly. And that's really, I think, the trademark here. We're playing checkers, they're playing chess. And if the West were to make that statement, I think things would accelerate very, very, very quickly because, I think it signals that this is a losing game. You can only suppress or manipulate a market for an extended period of time by pushing it in the direction it's going. And we are losing this battle as people are gobbling up all that they can. And that's why the price hasn't taken off to the degree that I think a lot of people would think. You got the West trying to hold it down to maintain supremacy. And you got the rest of the world not bitching that it's being manipulated because they're accumulating it slowly enough to not push it through the roof. But when you see the emergence of the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Metals Exchange in Dubai and the Moscow Exchange, there will come a time when the West and their ridiculous rehypothecated system, where right now the silver market on COMEX, the registered category, is 1,500% rehypothecated, meaning there are 1,500 times the paper contracts, 1,500% times the paper contracts as there are bars in the vault. In other words, 14 people get cash settled, one person gets the bars in theory. Well, it would be force majeure long before that. But the point of it is that they're able to issue 15 times as many contracts in silver as there are bars behind it. That's what the Hunt brothers noticed. And it is an illusion where the paper markets control the commodity price. It should be the other way around. It's the tail wagging the dog where the speculators can push the price of oil to negative $40 a barrel. How the hell do you do that? By the leverage you get in these contracts. And the rest of the world sees the Western exchanges for what they are, a scam. But if you're going to pickpocket the world, then you use the leverage of the Western suppression against us. And that's what they're doing. Slowly. Don't wake everybody up and let the price skyrocket in a world where information travels like that. No, keep volatility in it. And make it counterintuitive. Like, why hasn't gold taken off the way that most people think it should? And I think it should be a whole hell of a lot higher, even in the face of headwinds of real interest rates that have gone up, 500 basis points in the last year. It doesn't matter. It's that this is being done in a very methodical fashion. And if the West were to signal we lose, we give up, kind of like the end of the London gold pool, well, yeah, you'd see the price go parabolic very quickly. A lot of people who bought in 2011 and have been waiting a long time to get out. I mean, sure, that's some of it. I don't believe any of that. Why do I even say that? I mean, sure, okay, I'll tell you that to me, it's when you look at the way the market moves. When you look at the way that it gets clubbed at the AM fix and the PM fix, when you look at the way that it gets clubbed heading into New York, markets don't behave that way. There is a very strong vested interest by the West and the Western banks to suppress the price of gold and silver. Look, I mean, just on a very basic level, gold and silver signal frailty of the system. So all of the assets or investments that a lot of these commercial banks have, they don't want to see gold and silver take off because it signals that, hey, maybe there's a problem in the equity markets or in the markets that they're heavily involved in. And look, I think more than anything, the illusion of dollar supremacy is one that has been maintained by low interest rates and a low gold and silver price. They're not commodities. They are a barometer of the health of the system. So as much as I want to believe that there are market dynamics like people just trying to finally get out after being underwater for so long, sure, that's a part of it. But not in a world where the commercial banks and the leverage that they have on behalf of other players, maybe the central banks in the futures exchanges can really control the perception of reality through levered futures contracts where massive short positions like in silver. Why is it that 4 or 5 commercial banks hold the largest concentrated short position of any commodity traded on silver? Why would they do that? And the same thing is true of gold. Why do the commercial banks continually short the price of gold? Sure, there's some legitimacy in what they do, but not to that degree. And so, yeah, I think there is a headwind that the West has put into the price of gold for a very long time, but that plays right into the hands of those trying to accumulate it. And I think there will come a point where the Western system is just rendered obsolete, but not until we reach the point where there's just no gold and silver left to be delivered at those prices. So look, yes, there's a very small portion of it that's legitimate market functioning. People selling because they've been underwater for a long time or whatever it might be or used to be in terms of thinking of normal market dynamics. But I think it's a lot deeper than that. And I think gold and silver to me are things that they just never have wanted to let go because it really signals that the make-believe fiat system is breaking now so more than ever. But in terms of technical, look, $2,000 appears to be the new support for gold, used to be the high. It held up very well in the face of rising interest rates. Everyone thought it would be horrible for it. It should be higher. I think it ultimately will be higher. And I think, it will be one of these deals where you'll wake up on a Monday morning and it will be way higher because they've just given up trying to hold it down. The whole MO of the commercial banks is to short a rising market. Now, who the hell does that? Who shorts a price that's being gobbled up and on so many fundamental reasons why it should be going higher and the world is accumulating it? You got a handful of commercial banks beat the crap out of it. Why? And who would do that? Normally, you short a falling market. But if you have unlimited funds and the backing of the the West, the powers that be, yeah, you can just keep throwing money at levered futures contracts and just overwhelm the move upward. And that's what they do. And who shorts a rising market? That's what the commercial banks always do, and put a cap on it. Those days will come to an end, because ultimately supply and demand will overwhelm even the ability of these players to hold down the paper price. And anyone who denies that gold and silver are manipulated, I think they're missing the point. And, yeah, you saw JP Morgan and their three traders, including Michael Nowak, their head trader, go to prison, get slapped on the wrist. They should have been charged with RICO. As they were charged, they should have been convicted of that. Instead, they just got spoofing charges. But if you've been following the price of gold and silver long enough, markets don't behave this way. Dmitry Speck, I think, is someone that should be on a lot of people's interviews. I don't know if he's still working anymore, but someone that you should get on, because I used to do public speaking at the Sprott show a lot, and I would show a chart that he made. And that chart was one chart of 10 years worth of market trading in one chart. And it would show AM fixed straight down, PM fixed straight down. And markets don't behave that way. They're controlled by the West. And, when the price took off like that, everyone was waiting for it to get hammered, myself included. But I will say it this way: you can only suppress a market or manipulate a market over an extended period of time by pushing it in the direction that it is going. And you cannot hold back this kind of demand. And the rest of the world is using this against us. And that's the difference, is that they're smart enough to do it slowly enough to where the West hasn't come out and said, we're going to start buying gold ourselves. They haven't gone after it that hard yet, but I think there'll come a time where people realize you get all you can right now. And when that moment happens, the COMEX and the LBMA, I think, will lose all global legitimacy, and you'll see price setting move to Shanghai or to Dubai or wherever it may be, the countries who have taken the time to methodically accumulate and take possession of the majority of the world's commodities. And I don't think that's as far away as people think.
Remember that the true value of gold and silver extends beyond mere commodities. These metals serve as barometers of our economic system's health, often obscured by the intricate manipulations of commercial banks. Stay vigilant, for the journey towards a more transparent financial future requires understanding these hidden forces. Thank you for joining us in unraveling these essential truths, and may we continue to navigate these complex waters with knowledge and insight. Thank you for taking the time to like our videos, share them with your friends, and click on the subscribe button.